What's up folks, Gabe here, and today I'm gonna react to Smash Brackets Lucas vs Wario fight. I'm really hyped for this right now. I think this is gonna be my favorite fight ever on this channel till now, right now. So of all the fights, I think this is gonna be my favorite. And yeah, let's, without further ado, jump right into it.
Saw a chance to manipulate their way to power. The high-ranking commander of the Pig Mask army, Facade, moved into town alongside his pet monkey slave, and began his scheme to take control. He introduced the innocent town to the concept of money, only to steal it back and accuse
The thing is, like, nowadays, that like we can't really live without money, but back then they lived without money. They just traded things, and as life was peaceful, wasn't all about this who has the most money. And nowadays it's a huge problem. Like, I think that's a really good example of that. Like, if you look around the Burj in Dubai, there are like the super rich houses, like large skyscrapers, and right next to them are like these certain places with poor people and who don't have like anything. And like the rich people don't give a shit about them, which is kinda sad in my opinion. But yeah.
other townsfolk to healing. His magic isn't all focused on support though. PK Flash creates a blinding light that has a ton of different random effects. This spell can cause their opponent to cry so intensely that they're blinded.
Deku is such a freaking loser. I can't stand this guy. Hiroshima is so much better than him.
Paralyze their opponent, with the real bat hitting slightly harder than the mystical stick. With these melee attacks, Lucas can string together up to 16 hits in a row each time he connects an attack by stringing attacks together.
I really hope that they also incorporate this music combo thing into the animation, because like I'm a large fan of when like characters act as just kind of act with the rhythm in a fight. Well, I haven't really seen it that much, but it would be cool to see it this time.
Much of Lucas's truest versatility comes from his plethora of strange items that he carries on him. The enemy Whimperizer can make its targets weaker, whereas the Attack Attractor sprays the enemy with a smell so vile that all surrounding creatures feel compelled to attack them. But it gets weirder and weirder as I look through this list.
Yeah, that's a problem with like mother characters, because they have like such weird things you can't actually... It's hard to figure out how strong they are or how weak they are, or how their matchup against certain characters are, because they have so much random stuff to throw at their opponent, and their opponent doesn't really have anything to fight back. That's certainly a thing.
He carries a chicken, literal poop, and the Made You Look taps in.
What was the one frame of poop? I'm just gonna Einstellungen.
The Made You Look weirder and weirder as I look
It sounds so weird when slowed down.
through
It
this.
sounds like me after like staying up for the entire night and not drinking any water for the whole day.
And now enjoy your time watching Gabe struggling at talking.
Like, fun fact, this night I was like at a party with my friends, like a sleepover party, and we stayed up the whole night, and my legs hurt. Like my entire sleep schedule was like messed up. We had like did something yesterday evening, right before midnight, and when like in really early in the morning, like 3 AM, we also played some Smash. And what we did before midnight felt like it was a day. It happened a day ago, even though it was only like 4 or 3 hours. Then after the following 3 hours at 6 AM we had like breakfast, and it was this morning breakfast 6 AM, and like we all went home later that day, And I went to sleep because I didn't have any sleep this day and my legs were just broken down. My voice was even more demolished than it normally is, which is, well, you all know that my voice is demolished by default, but if it's even more demolished, yeah, you don't want to hear that. And like, I went to sleep and the breakfast we had this morning felt like it was a day ago, even though it was only like 14 Uhr, als ich aufgestanden bin. 14. It was like 8 hours ago, I think. Yes. And my batteries are running out. But I hope that was enough with story time. But, well, that's mainly what I do for the whole reaction thing.
List. He carries a chicken.
Chicken Thunder, like the whole Ness and Lucas voice lines back then, no one understood them. Everyone thought they said Chicken Thunder.
Literal poo.
Bylef. He says Bylef is poop. My sister wouldn't be really happy about that because she's a huge fan of Bylef.
And the Made You Look taps an enemy on the shoulder to make them turn around. He's also got rotten bananas to make the enemies slip, and a beehive.
Oh, rotten bananas, they taste so bleh. And don't ask me why I ate a rotten banana, it's just don't ask.
Honey shower that stings the enemy multiple times with bees immediately got his priorities straight and pulled out a giant magnet to collect as much money as humanly possible. And this is largely indicative of Wario's.
As a baby, I mean, back when I and like everyone I know was just an infant, we didn't even know the concept of money and like whole concept of everything. But this guy already is addicted to money. While only being like not even a.
And now enjoy your time watching Gibby and a total moron.
Yeah, I'm like, my prediction is like both have a lot of weird stuff they can pull off, but like since they've talked about Lucas much more and about Lucas Arsenal much, well, actually, like, yeah, like I think Lucas is like faster overall and has much better durability and can like destroy things and turn them into dust. I think he's gonna win and has like funnier items. If not, that I'm just gonna, well, assume that I was wrong, I guess.
Figure out who will advance on to the next round of the Smash bracket and who will be disqualified. Let's get into it.
I'm so hyped for this right now. I'm shaking. This part kind of sounds like this the trace and trance music from a racing game, like aka the Dream Speedrun music. Just listen to it.
Who will advance on to the next round of the Smash bracket and who will be disqualified. Let's get into it.
See what I mean? This literally everyone in the modern age of time. They're just playing video games and staring at the screen all the time.
All right.
Just look at his face or something.
Get out of here!
His voice is real deep. Yeah, I'm just kind of used to him having like a higher pitched voice from a, like, I don't know. But he sounds really manly, and I like that because manly equals strong.
Oh no!
I
Hey, stupid!
stance.
Defense up.
Oh yeah. And it is just so funny to see Wario just talk all the time because these voice lines of him, they're just so hilarious. These funny noises he makes, and dude, I literally can't anymore.
Shield.
I'm amazing.
Yeah.
Wario time.
Offense up.
Bombe. Bombe.
Offense up. Yeah. Oh.
I said I wish I would incorporate this, and they did, and it's so cool.
PK Love. Yeah. Shield.
Come on, fly. Yeah.
Counter. Yeah.
In your face.
Face.
Life up. All good. PK Flash. PK Flash.
All right. Beautiful. Have a rotten day. I win. I win.
That's it? Really?
And there you go! This fight was interesting because it ultimately boiled down to strategy. In order for Lucas to win, he would have needed to keep his distance for long enough to either fully power up or take Wario out of the fight with a PK Flash. However, Wario's best chances came from the exact opposite approach. He would need to rush down Lucas and not let up on his assault at all until the fight was over. Any opportunity that Lucas had to act was a 25% chance to immobilize or instantly take Wario out of the fight with PK Flash, and a 60% chance to blind him and provide even more room for PK Flashes or the decimating New Year's Eve bomb. To determine which character would be able to execute their preferred strategy a majority of the time, we need to take a look at their stats. Starting with speed. Both Lucas and Wario come within a few decimal points of each other. Lucas dodging out of the way of that train and Wario's speed maneuvering around his levels both came in to roughly 24 miles per hour or 38.6 kilometers per hour. Wario could enhance this even further with machines like his bikes or planes, but while these would be a boost in travel speed, they wouldn't really allow him the kind of speed that's relevant in a combat scenario. Not to mention that Lucas's saltwater gun is an item that's specifically designed to destroy machinery like that, causing it to instantly rust. So while they're even in speed, to go over their peak strength and durability, I'm going to bring in our lead researcher, Real Lemon, to help us out.
Hey Inc., Lucas's best show of strength was destroying Mr. Janitor with a single hit. Looking at the energy required to destroy a metal construct of that size already looks pretty impressive. But what makes it more impressive is that the attack happens in less than a tenth of a second, and Lucas is hitting with a baseball bat, meaning the point of contact is pretty small. This means that the intensity of the attack is really high. This is like having the annual power consumption of 2,000 homes concentrated on every square inch of your skin. Let's compare this to Wario's top strength output, which comes from smashing this block of stone into rubble. Between the deceptively large amount of stone being destroyed here, the speed of the punch, and the small area of Wario's fist, this is way more impressive than it seems at first glance. Lucas might have the power out.
They haven't shown this one, I think, in the analysis. And how could I know that Wario wins with if they haven't shown this?
Of 2,000 homes, but Wario has the power of 20,000 homes. We should also mention their durability. Both characters have commonly cited high-end durability feats that are worth some critical examination. At the end of Mother 3, we witness a huge amount of destruction across the planet. There's some dialogue after this that makes it seem like Lucas may have survived, and this statement by the creator shows that he was indeed supposed to have lived through the destruction, though he clarifies it was only the island that was totally destroyed. While this is definitely impressive, when we look at what is actually happening in the cutscenes, we can see that the destruction is the result of many natural disasters over a long period of time. This means that we can't just treat Lucas as enduring a single explosion strong enough to level the island. And since we don't actually know what he did to survive here, or even which disasters he personally endured, we can't really use it as a durability feat for him. Wario has bragged that he is immortal before in the English version of the Wario 2 game manual, but even if we trusted him, this inability to be hurt wouldn't hold up against stronger attacks than he has endured before. And we definitely don't trust that he is immortal when he has items in Wario Land Shake It specifically designed to bring him back from death. Also,
Yeah, okay. I mean, Wario is like the guy who would lie about certain things and like pretend that he's the best. Like saying that he's immortal, I would totally buy that he would do that. While he's clearly not, and has extra weapons for that.
at the end of Shake It, Wario kills the Shake King, who then explodes into a massive column of light. While this explosion initially seems like it is impressive because it seems to push a large amount of clouds away, we can also see that it does absolutely no damage to the room that he was in or the ship that the explosion originated from, especially when you consider that these clouds seem to be caused by the presence of the Shake King in the first place. There's just not any reason to consider this explosion had a meaningful amount of power behind it. When looking at feats that hold up to scrutiny, the top durability feats of our fighters look a bit different. Lucas's best measurable durability feat is when he had volcanic steam erupt out of the ground and totally cover his body for several seconds. Volcanic steam can reach temperatures up to 400 degrees Celsius, and we can figure out the power transferred here by looking at the
math. I don't even know what these things mean. Power per... I'm already dead after reading this.
Thermal conductivity of human skin. Lucas is enduring over 38 kilowatts per centimeter squared here, and is quite literally being cooked alive, but walks out of this with a new power instead of actual damage. When Wario gets hit by this nose-shaped satellite, we see it destroy his house and begin tunneling through the ground. Wario takes this crash
He's just sitting there and playing video games like nothing has
on and doesn't seem to care at all. By measuring the size of the house compared to the size of the door, which we're assuming is Wario sized, we can figure out that this crash has an intensity equal to about half the power capacity of the world's largest nuclear power plant. So Wario easily takes the physical stats here. His durability is too high for Lucas to deal meaningful damage to him, and his strength is more than enough to deal with Lucas's durability. Lucas's strategy, equipment, and abilities do help him deal with this stat gap a bit, but the initial head start that Wario has gives him a big advantage. Back to you, Ink.
In the end, this is honestly a battle that could go either way. There isn't a clear-cut victor because the outcome of each battle would rely heavily on the context in which they fight. If they start at close range, let's say close enough to fist bump, we believe that Wario would take the fight about 90% of the time. Lucas just wouldn't have the time required to execute on the strategy that he needs to win. But if they started at about mid-range, let's say opposite sides of a boxing ring, they'd likely go just about 50-50, with Wario sometimes being able to close in before Lucas can get off his status effects, but Lucas being able to get a winning strategy just as often. And finally, starting any farther apart would probably give this fight to Lucas about 80% of the time. He almost certainly would have the time and maneuverability that he needs to pull off the win more often than not. So while Wario wins at close range, and they tie at medium ranges, and Lucas actually takes it pretty easily at slightly longer starting distances, we feel that Wario has slightly more of an advantage at close range than Lucas.
Actually, I'm about to, well, again running out. The rope snake wasn't Lucas's item in Mother 3, then why did he use it in the animation just for a little cameo? Yes, but I mean, as long as the cameo doesn't affect the entire fight, it's okay, but this did affect the fight quite a lot, in my opinion. So like, yeah. But again, we had like Sonic vs. Fox, where Fox used his multiplayer items and Sonic used a little to know nothing. Yeah, this is not much of an issue.
Has at long range, due to Wario's vehicles and other ways to close the distance quicker than normal. So by a fraction of a fraction,
Again, Lucas is... You can write Lucas within C, not in K. He had a rotten day. Yeah.
Wario is the winner and will be moving on to the next round of the Smash Bracket.
Wario, who could Wario be fighting? Like, Wario vs Pac-Man could be cool, but Pac-Man has already lost, so... Wario versus King DDD maybe, but that's already has been a death battle, but I think Wario versus DDD could be cool.
Next time on the Smash Bracket.
Sans versus NES. Yes, Mario Man.
Versus Yoshi.